PP. Welcome to my channel, USA Hope and Heart. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story that might stay with you long after the video ends. So sit back, turn the lights low, and listen closely, because the moment this story begins, someone's entire world is about to change. It was a rainy Tuesday morning, the kind where the sky hangs heavy and the streets feel colder than they should. Inside a gleaming glass tower in New York, the city's most feared CEO, Alexander Hale, sat stiffly at the head of a long conference table. His reputation was simple: no excuses, no delays, no emotions. He was brilliant, relentless, and the kind of man who could intimidate a room without saying a word. Today was supposed to be just another meeting. Numbers, charts, a few sharp corrections, maybe a few firings. But fate had something entirely different planned for him. The board sat silently as Alexander scanned the quarterly reports with that same icy focus. But as he turned the page, something, rather someone, caught his attention. A small girl, standing quietly in the doorway. She couldn't have been more than 7. Her thin sweater was soaked from the rain, her shoes muddy, her dark hair plastered to her forehead. And her eyes, those big brown eyes, were trembling. Alexander frowned. He didn't like interruptions. He didn't allow them. Before he could speak, the little girl whispered, barely audible, "Sir, my mom isn't waking up." The entire room froze. For a moment, no one even breathed. Alexander blinked slowly, unsure if he'd heard her correctly. The girl clutched a tear-stained piece of paper in her hand. They said you could help. Please help my mommy." Alexander wasn't the type of man people came to for help. People feared him, respected him, obeyed him, but no one, absolutely no one, reached out to him with something so fragile, so human. "Security," one of the board members muttered awkwardly. "Should we?" "No." Alexander's voice cut through the room like thunder. He stood up, pushing his chair back with a sharp scrape. He walked toward the girl, and everyone watched, confused, as the coldest man they knew slowly knelt down in front of a child. "What's your name?" he asked gently, a tone no one had heard from him before. "Lana," she whispered. "Please, take me to her." Alexander straightened. His chest felt tight, an unfamiliar sensation. Without another word to his board, he grabbed his coat and took the little girl's hand. As the elevator descended, he glanced at her. "Where is your mother?" "At home, we live near the river. She didn't wake up today. I tried shaking her, calling her," her voice cracked. "I don't have anyone else." A sharp ache stabbed through him, old, buried memories clawing their way out. He had once been a child like this. Alone, scared, with a mother who worked 3 jobs and still collapsed from exhaustion more times than he could count. He swallowed hard. "I'll help you," he said, surprising himself. When they reached his car, Lana held the paper out with her trembling fingers. "This is her work ID. She worked for your company." Alexander stared at the ID card. Mara Collins. A cleaning staff member. His jaw tightened. His company. His building. His responsibility. Traffic blurred past as he drove through the rain. Lana kept wiping her tears with her sleeves. At one point, she whispered, "She always said you're the man who decides everything. If you decide, mommy will be okay, right?" Alexander didn't know how to answer. When they arrived at the small apartment, Lana rushed ahead. The door was unlocked. The living room was dim and cold, the kind of cold that hinted at unpaid bills. A cracked lamp flickered weakly. A stack of hospital letters lay on the table, some unopened. Some marked, "Final Notice." And on the old sofa, her mother lay motionless. Lana ran to her. Mommy, I brought someone. The CEO came to help you, Mommy, please." Alexander stepped inside, his breath catching. Mara was pale, too pale. A medical oxygen tube lay on the floor beside her. The little girl must have tried to help, not knowing how. Alexander gently checked her pulse. It was faint, weak, but there. "We need to call an ambulance," he said quickly, pulling out his phone. Lana clung to her mother, sobbing softly. Within minutes, paramedics arrived. They carried Mara out on a stretcher, and Lana refused to let go of her mother's hand until a paramedic gently pried her fingers apart. Alexander rode with them. At the hospital, time felt frozen. Machines beeped. Doctors rushed. Nurses moved quickly. Hours passed. Finally, a doctor approached. Alexander stood, his heart pounding more than he expected. "She's alive," the doctor said. "Severe exhaustion, malnutrition, untreated pneumonia. She needs rest, proper nutrition, and treatment." He sighed. "But she's been delaying her medications." Her insurance doesn't cover enough. Lana looked up desperately. Can I see her? The doctor nodded. Alexander knelt beside Lana again. She's going to get help now, he said softly. I promise you. Lana threw her arms around him in a hug so sudden, so unexpected, that he froze. Slowly, awkwardly, he placed a hand on her back. When she pulled away, she whispered, Mommy will be safe because of you. But Alexander didn't feel like a savior. He felt guilty, deeply guilty. He found Mara's file in the system later that night. She had requested reduced hours due to worsening health. Denied. She had asked for medical support. Denied. Budget cuts. She had worked overtime shifts to cover medications. Unpaid. His chest tightened painfully. He stared at the screen until his vision blurred. This wasn't just a company failure. It was his failure. For the first time in years, he felt ashamed. The next morning, he visited Mara's room. She was awake, weak but conscious. Lana sat beside her, holding her hand. Mara looked confused when she saw him. Mr. Hale, sir, why are you here? Alexander stepped closer. Your daughter came to my office, he said. She asked for help. Tears formed in Mara's tired eyes. I told her not to bother anyone. I didn't want to trouble the company. The trouble, Alexander said quietly, was that the company did not take care of you. She looked down, embarrassed. Alexander continued, his voice firmer now. You're not going back to work until you're fully recovered. And your medical bills will be handled, completely. Mara gasped. Sir, I can't accept that. You're not accepting a favor, he said. You're receiving what you deserved from the beginning. Lana looked between them, her eyes hopeful. Mommy, does that mean we won't get kicked out of our home? Alexander nodded. You won't lose your home. And in that moment, something inside him shifted. The icy walls he had built over years began to crack. Over the next weeks, he visited often. Not out of obligation, but because he wanted to. Lana would run to him every time, bringing drawings she made of him as a superhero, something that made him blush more than he'd admit. Sometimes he stayed late, reading her bedtime stories while Mara slept. Nurses whispered in surprise, unable to believe the ruthless CEO was now the gentlest visitor in the ward. But Alexander understood why he kept coming back. Lana reminded him of himself. Mara reminded him of his mother. And the guilt reminded him that power meant nothing if he didn't use it to protect people like them. One evening, after Mara finally regained her strength, she said softly. You've done more than enough, Mr. Hale. We don't want to be a burden. Alexander shook his head. You're not a burden. You never were. And I want to make sure families like yours never fall through the cracks again. And he meant it. In the following months, he created a new division at his company, one focused entirely on employee welfare. Medical support, emergency funds, insurance upgrades, mental health services, safety checks, paid overtime, no more rejections, no more ignored pleas. He named the program, the Lana Initiative. His board was stunned. Investors questioned him. Some protested. But he didn't care. He had seen what neglect looked like. He had held the tiny trembling hand of a little girl begging for her mother's life. He had witnessed the consequences of his own cold decisions. He wasn't going back. And slowly, people saw the change. Employees spoke of him with respect, not fear. Productivity increased. Turnover decreased. And Alexander Hale, the man once known as a stone-hearted CEO, became a leader admired for compassion. Years passed. Lana grew older, brighter, happier. Mara returned to work in a better role with better hours, better pay, and a healthier life. And Alexander, he became a constant presence in their lives. Birthdays, school events, hospital checkups, he never missed them. One afternoon, Lana asked him, why did you help us? Really? Alexander looked at her with soft eyes. Because someone should have helped me when I was your age. And since no one did, I want to be that person for you. Lana hugged him tightly, and he hugged her back just as tightly. The rain outside trickled gently, the same way it had on the day she first walked into his office. But this time, the world felt warmer, brighter, better, and all because a little girl whispered, Sir, my mom isn't waking up. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to USA Hope and Heart for more emotional stories. Thank you for watching.